Well, hello there everybody, welcome to SFR Season 4, Round 13 of the season. Today we head to Mexico. A couple of lobby issues that, as usual, have happened. I've already glitched out one lobby, hence we're starting about 10 minutes later than usual. And we're just waiting on a couple more drivers just to restart their games, routers, etc, to try and be kind to the Codemaster servers. So this evening we are running about 19 driver grid, a couple of drivers to join very shortly. Hopefully that won't cause too many more issues. But we recently crowned Honesy as the Season 4 champion. He is racing again this evening to try and even further his championship lead and cement his place as the GOAT of SFR. Few other drivers in the lobby this evening. Obviously Cornet has made a return as a full-time driver in the Williams. Rainer Zufal has now joined us in the lobby, which is brilliant news. So there's 18 drivers currently and at least one more to join shortly. Grack making only a second appearance for SFR. He is racing as a reserve in the Red Bull this evening. And as always, both McLaren boys, B16 and Red Dog, driving this evening, ever presence, along with Delta Lima in the Alpine. So the one driver missing this evening in a full-time seat is SFR The Rain, or Viet DV, as you may know him on the PSN. So Dace is running Mercedes 1-1 this evening. Dace hasn't got a teammate, so he's going to have to do all the hard work by himself. Kachow in the Alfa Romeo is using his Fanatec for the first time in SFR. He used it last night in NRL. Didn't do him too many favours. I think he said he was struggling on a few occasions, and obviously had the typical Kachow spin, which has become ever present on this year's game. Mr. Woot racing for Haas this evening as a reserve driver. Always good to see Mr. Woot in the lobby. Obviously a part-time commentator, part-time driver. Only just recently got the game. Mark of Kenya in the Alpha Tauri, being Honesy's teammate. Very fast driver, however also in the max guise of being quite aggressive on occasion, but always does bring him some decent points if he can stay out of trouble. Staying out of trouble is his problem though, so hopefully he can avoid some trouble this evening, and he can get some good points on the board for his reserve driver championship. Domi Lee has now joined us in the Ferrari. Henry is here as well, and so is Stuart. So yeah, 19 driver grid. One spare seat, which, as I've already mentioned, is in the Mercedes-Benz. So last time out we raced at Imola, and Honesy won the race and won the title with it. Lasser got pole position but finished second, and Kachow came in third spot. Cornet got the fastest lap. With regards to standings, Alpha Tauri currently lead the constructors by quick maths, 69 points, nice. Mercedes have 131 with 2 wins, and Alfa Romeo haven't won a race yet this season. They're on 131 points though, as well as Mercedes, so position 2 in the constructors is very, very tight. So the Honesy's currently on 210 points as the champion, 109 ahead of Dace, his closest challenger, and Lasser in third on 87. Lasser obviously has tasted championship success before in our JFR days. Lasser was the one and only season champion. Coolbeans, who is running in fourth, isn't racing this evening. He's got held up at work, so unfortunately for him he won't be able to close the gap to go to the SFR Gala, as we don't even hold that. But hey, it's always good to know what he could be missing if we did hold it. But yeah, Coolbeans in P4, Willands in P5, having a brilliant season as Willands in the Aston Martin. Really doing himself some really big favours this season in the Aston Martin. Great season, and he's equal on points with his good friend Rainer Zufal in the Williams on 63 points. Henry is a reserve driver, part-time driver here. He is only 1 point behind those two on 62. B16 having a brilliant season is McLaren with 58 in P8. Cornet, returning driver, 47, and PhD Vengeance has a reserve on 47 as well. Both Alfa Romeo drivers in 11th and 12th with 47 and 46 points apiece, being Kachau and Exotic. And the first few drivers are heading out on track now, so I will stop with all the housekeeping and let's get into the racing. So here comes Righty Boy in his Ferrari. Let's get some track maps up, let's get some data up, some telemetry, and the tyre selection. So who is first out? It looks like there is is that a Red Bull or a Williams? I never know what the colours are, but we have already lost Lasser. What's happened to Lasser? Interesting, Lasser is already out. I'm not sure what's happened to Lasser, but he is already out, so that's an interesting turn of events. As which car is currently going down the pit straight? It isn't Grack, I believe it to be Cornet. So Cornet is going to be the first driver to set a lap. So let's ride on board with Cornet as he comes into the tricky heavy braking zone at turn 1. A 90-degree right, a 90-degree left, followed by another 90-degree right. Be very careful not to overrun that exit curb, as you will get your lap invalidated. Strict corner cutting rules. We are racing this evening, as always, now in SFR. I'm just going to be very careful with the curbs and the track limits. Pretty neat and tidy through there. You don't want to run too wide. Double apex right-hander before we head into the S's. He has got a little bit of traffic up ahead, and it's the Alpha Tauri. I'm not sure who it is. Be very careful running through here. It is still valid. Little lift through the second part, and that's still a valid lap. That took quite a lot of the inside curb there. He's going to get a nice toe here. I'm not sure who the driver is ahead. It's Mark of Kenya. So Mark will probably need to get out of the way of Cornet as we head into the tricky stadium section. Mark of Kenya throwing off a lot of turbulent air through this part of the track. As we head down, Cornet will get a bit of a slipstream, so he will gain some time back, and it's a 1:15.409. Next car down would be a Ferrari, who's on an outlap, and it could possibly be Rayner, teammate, half a second slower. Getting some times coming in now. Dace is just starting his hot lap. We've got the double Aston Martins, Will on an outlap and Bacon on a flying, so he's just coming around the final corner now on a medium tyre. He's chosen to go medium to start with, and Bacon's first time is 2 seconds slower than what Cornet could manage. Other drivers coming through, there is a Haas of, not Medwards, Haas of Mr. Woot on the soft tyre, goes a 1:16.760. Willans has just started his flying lap. Righty Boy is setting a 1:16.956. Good to see him back in racing in the league. Delta goes a 1:17.148 as well. So time's coming in thick and fast. Here goes Will on his flying lap. So he goes into the left-hander at the end of the first sector, the right-hander. Careful not to overrun, as I've already mentioned there, as we get into the, just about misses the apex of the first one, but nails it on the second, and we head into the S's. So riding on board with him through the S's, flat out through the first few, massive lift off, little bit of dab of brake just to keep, as long as I think the first run is pretty important just to get a lap on the board, because a lot of drivers are going to be struggling, and as I say that, Dace has gone fastest with a 1:15.322. Will into the heavy braking zone on the right hander before we go into the hairpin, going back on yourself into the stadium. Quite a tricky corner this. You don't want to take too much curb, as it will throw you off into the wall on the outside. Stay as close as you can to the pit line, and he crosses the line to go a 1:16.141 on the soft tyre. B16 has also set a lap, and he has done a 1:16.179. Holmesy currently on a flying lap, but invalidated on the medium tyre. Henry in the pits, Medwards in the pits as well. Grack is just about to finish his flying lap, and he jumps up to P4. That's a good lap, good banker lap from him. 2 laps on the soft tyres, 2 bites of the cherry with a 1:15.506. And Delta Lima is on a flying lap as well, as he goes into the heavy braking zone at turn 1. The right, the left, the right, and the spin. The right, the left, the right, the spin. Parked it in the middle of the track. Grack avoids, and he goes out, and I think it's time for him to return to the pit lane. Holmesy is now on his flying lap. Let's try not to jinx him. The right, the left, the right, and he puts his foot down as he powers up towards the end of the first sector, and the first sector time of the on-air thing has just come up, so I can't see what his first sector time was. That was good timing, wasn't it? Ka-chow! Just done the double apex right-hander as he headed to the S's. Takes too much inside curve there, and the lap has been invalidated. He's going to have to turn his ERS down, try and recharge the battery as much as he can, or is he going to head straight back to the pits? Which I believe he's doing. He's not slowing down. Doesn't look like he's recharging his ERS too much as he slows down now. There we go. So, Dace, currently fastest driver on track, 1:15.322, so we'll watch him as he comes out of the pit lane later. Grack is going back into the pits. Rayner on an outlap. Stuart Little on not a flyer. He's 4 seconds down on his best time. Mr. Woot in the pits. Righty Boy in the pits. Delta is going, having another bite of the cherry. Let's watch him through here. The right. The left. The right. And he keeps it straight. He keeps it in a straight line, and he's powering up towards the end of the first sector. Second DRS straight on the lap, and he's going to have a heavy braking zone into the left-hander. There is an apex there somewhere, Delta, and there. Turns in. And here we go. Let's follow him on board through the S's, the trickiest part of the track. Here he goes, into the left-hander. Follows it round, flows to the right, to the left. Lets off through the other right-hander, floors it, DRS again, 3 DRS zones on this track, and we come in to the end of the third sector and the braking zone into the stadium. Runs a bit wide there, and that unfortunately does invalidate his lap. Gets well out of the way of the following 2 Alfa Romeo drivers of ERT Henry, and let's jump on board with him as he's just about to end his flying lap. As he comes around the final corner, a bit squirrely on the exit, but goes fastest. He goes half a second faster than what Dace has managed. So ERT Henry on provisional pole, and Ka-chow as well into the pretty much into the say into the 14s. He's not into the 14s. He's in a 1:15.069. Nice. So he is currently in P2. Cornet is just finishing his outlap. He will be starting another flying lap, and he's got about 6/10 to find. I wonder if he can find that on his second run. Yellow flag in sector 1. I believe that's just drivers slowing down. So let's ride on board with Cornet F1. Season 2 champion. Or was he Season 3? I can't remember. He has been a champion at some point as he's got some traffic on the right hand side. Stuart Little stays well out of the way as he breaks into turn 1. What kind of traffic has he got up ahead? He's got an Aston Martin up ahead of him, his previous team this season. He might get a little bit of a slipstream as the lap goes on, but probably not. It looks as if he's going to catch them up in the tight and twisty section. So it's Will, his former teammate Will, ahead of him. Is the traffic on the medium tyres, and he's on an outlap. So hopefully Will does manage to get out of the way, because it does look like he's moving reasonably slowly through this section. And Cornet has a huge moment of curb oversteer, and he's going to have to back out and try again. Righty Boy on a flying lap now, I believe, as he heads into turn 1. Obviously turn 1 can cause quite a few incidents during the race. It's a long run down from P1 in real life. Starting P3 is usually the best place to start here. Starting on pole isn't the best spot. Such a long run down, the drivers behind all get slipstreams, and the driver in P1 normally gets swamped as they head down there. Normally they end up in the middle of the track with P3 on the outside, P1, P2 on the inside, and they just get sandwiched out. So you've got to be quite aggressive as the pole sitter to try and keep pole heading into turn 2. Unfortunately, Righty Boy has just invalidated. Delta Lima has got a fresh set of soft tyres on, and he is currently on his outlap. Mark of Kenya is on 5 lap hold as I jump on board, Mark. Wow, Mark, apologies for that. I have just commentated cursed you. You are out. Red Dog is also out. I'm not sure what happened to Red Dog. That's interesting, but Red Dog is out of the qualifying as well without setting a lap time. Honesy Here we go with Honesy. He takes a lot of that inside curb and he spins as well. What is it with me? Every time I jump on board a driver, I'm cursing them. Edwards is just starting his flying lap. He is in the Haas. His regular teammate isn't here this evening. So Edwards is trying to score as many points for Haas as he possibly can. Very close to getting his first podium a few weeks ago in the Hungarian Grand Prix, but just missed out. He had a great race then, so let's hope for another great race today. Takes a lot of curb at the inside of turn 1, flows it through 2 and 3, and powers out with the DRS open down to turn 4. Closes his DRS as he comes around these tight and twisty corners, turns himself in. He hasn't got anyone ahead of him, which is good. There is a blue car behind him, a dark blue one. I believe that to be a Red Bull. As I mentioned before, I just can't. There's so many different shades of blue colour here that don't really match up. So Medwards on the soft tyre. Will is still doing his medium tyre run. Medwards is now unfortunately invalidated, so let's jump on board with Will. Will's also invalidated. Cornet is on an in-lap. Grack goes second fastest with a 1:15.068, so 1,000th quicker than what Kachow could manage. So Grack has probably got a bit more pace. We have 5 minutes and 25 seconds remaining. So I'm assuming most drivers now are going to be staying in the pits. Grack will probably be going in the pits. Yep, there he goes. He's going to stick some more fuel in his car, stick some fresh, soft tyres on, and they're all going to be powering out of the pit lane in probably about 2 minutes, I would say. Get their heads in the game. 2 minutes time, they'll be heading back out and trying to get pole position. So for those of you joining us, SFR is normally on the CCR network this evening, but due to a few technical issues and not being able to log on properly, it is this evening on my channel, my personal channel, Van Rocco. So for those of you watching, what are your predictions for the race? Who have you got your money on? Who's going to be getting pole position? Who is going to be fighting for the race win? The B16 is on a flying lap. Let's ride on board with him as he comes down to turn 1. While we do that, I'm just going to make a quick cup of coffee. So B16 is not on a flying lap. 6.5 seconds down in his best time. Honesy finally is 10th and a half up on his best time. Have a few comments on the things. Let's see what the comment was. 3 people watching. Gaz NFCC, hello there. Gaz NFCC, aka also known as Red 44 Dog, the McLaren driver. Unfortunately, he's been tangled up in a few incidents the past few races, which has earned him a qualifying ban this evening. Pretty harsh stewards in this league, I won't lie. So yeah, he's been on the receiving end of a qualifying ban, and he'll be starting somewhere towards the back of the grid. Drivers now, as we can see, all starting to pile out of the pit lane. It's going to be a tricky thing to see whereabouts all the drivers are on track, and try and keep an eye on who is doing what. So Honesy didn't improve again. He's got some traffic on ahead of him. He do get out of the way. Henry is just ahead of him. Henry does get out of the way, but that probably did put Honesy off a little bit. I mean, last night's drive in NRL was very scruffy, to say the least, from Honesy. And this evening's qualifying hasn't been the greatest showing either just yet. He's on 3-lap-old soft, so he has taken some life out of these. He probably doesn't want to really be starting on these soft tyres. So I believe he's just going to do what he did last night in NRL, just stick some laps in. B16 is in. Where is he? Who knows? Right, so out laps. Cornet has started a flying lap. He is just coming up to the double right-handed apex corner, and Kachow is a few corners behind him. So Cornet is going to be the first one to try and set and try and get pole position. I believe Impossible Bacon is just behind Cornet, just ahead of Kachow. Grack is just starting a flying lap. Henry's just starting a flying lap. So that's right on board with Cornet as we come into the final few corners. Let's see what Cornet has got in his back pocket. Can Cornet improve? He needs to find about another 3/10. Loses some traction on the curb there, so that would have lost him quite a bit of time. He does go faster though. He goes 0.003 faster. So Kachow is just coming round the final corner. Medwood's just ahead of him as well. Medwood's is starting his flying lap now. Kachow goes 1/10 faster, so Kachow on provisional pole. Henry is coming through the S's, and he has a massive moment. Henry has a massive moment that could cost him pole position here. Runs very wide on the exit into the stadium. Dace is out of the qualifying as well. He's crashed at the exit of the S's. So Henry comes round the final corner. Has he got anything? Bacon set a 1:15.755. Henry, even having that massive moment of oversteer through the S's, goes 0.4 faster than anybody at the minute. It's a Alfa Romeo 1-2. Dommy Lee has started his flying lap. He's just finished in the first sector and he's heading up towards the double apex right-hander. Impossible Bacon stays well out of the way. Righty Boy stays well out of the way as well. Rayner is just entering the stadium. He is 2.5 up on his best time. This will see him jump up at least 1 or 2 positions if he can nail. Takes a lot of exit curb on the exit of the stadium. Comes round the final corner. Doesn't hug the inside like some drivers. Does jump up 2 positions, and he goes into P7. Righty Boy has abandoned his lap. He won't be setting a faster time. Will went 1/10 and a bit faster, so he's up to P11. Delta is not setting a flying lap. Stewart is also not on a flying lap. Mr. Woot not on a flying lap. Holmesy finishes in P17, so he'll be able to choose his tyre strategy. And Rayner is 1/10 up. Did he manage to get round and able to set another time? He hasn't got much ERS left to do, so he might run out of ERS before the end of the thing, but he is 1/10 and a bit up. Dommy Lee's abandoned his lap. Henry is not on a lap either, so it is just Rayner. He takes way too much curb there. Looked like he corner cut a little bit, but it's still valid. And he's 2.5 up again, so this will see him jump up maybe into 6th. It will improve his time, but it won't be a massive improvement to be able to jump him up. And what's happened here? What has happened? The game is frozen. Delta, you there?
Indeed.
Is it frozen for you?
We're just watching people doing fresh outlaps at the moment.
It's done what it did to you last week. Rayner's just frozen on my screen.
Okay.
So, apologies for this, everybody. It seems like Codemasters has done us dirty again, and we have another glitch lobby.
Got about 45 seconds left on the timer, so we'll see what happens.
Alright, let's see what happens. So yeah, let's continue and see what happens here. everyone has set their times. Let me take a quick screenshot of the positions in case we have to do another lobby. And do a manual grid.
Yeah, it's definitely frozen on 001.
You still frozen?
Yeah, so restart definitely.
Cool. I can't even get out of here. I'm going to have to... Yep. Good job.